I'm 95 years old now, and I don't pretend I have many mornings left. When you wake up at this age, you don't reach for the future. You reach for your glasses, for the edge of the mattress, for something steady, and you wonder quietly if this will be one of the last times you sit up in this bed. People ask me all the time what I did to live this long. They expect something complicated, some rare berry from a mountain or a secret routine at sunrise. The truth is plainer than that. There are 4 foods I avoid every single day. I don't avoid them because I read or study. I avoid them because I buried too many friends. And I've had a long time to think. I wasn't always careful. In my 20s, I could eat anything. I worked construction back then, strong as an ox. Breakfast was a plate heavy with bacon, sausage, white toast soaked in butter. Lunch was whatever was quick. Dinner was big and late. I didn't think about it. None of us did. We thought strength meant you were safe. I remember being 32, sitting at a diner with my friend Eddie. We both ordered the same thing, double cheeseburgers, fries, thick milkshakes. He laughed and said, "We'll burn it off tomorrow." We believed that. We believed our bodies would always forgive us. Eddie died at 58. Heart attack. Quick, they said. It wasn't quick. It was years in the making. That was the first time I started paying attention to what I put in my mouth. The first food I stopped eating every day was processed meat, bacon, sausage, deli ham. I loved it. The smell alone could wake up a house. But I saw what it did. Not overnight. Slowly. Blood pressure creeping up. Cholesterol numbers rising. Men my age pretending not to worry. I'm not a scientist. I just watched patterns. Every funeral felt similar. Same age range. Same heavy plates at barbecues. Same jokes about living large. We thought it was manly to eat like that. We thought moderation was weakness. By the time I hit 60, half the men I'd worked with were gone. The second food I avoid is sugary drinks. Soda, sweet tea, even those bottled juices that pretend to be healthy. I used to drink cola like water. In the summer heat, nothing felt better. But sugar is quiet. It doesn't shout while it's doing its work. My wife, Margaret, was the one who really opened my eyes. She wasn't heavy, she wasn't careless, but she had a sweet tooth. Cookies with her afternoon tea, pie after dinner. Little things, always little things. At 72, she was diagnosed with diabetes. I remember sitting in that sterile room, her hand in mine, the doctor explaining insulin and blood sugar levels. Margaret kept nodding like a good student. On the drive home, she stared out the window and said, "I thought we had more time before our bodies started turning on us." She tried. She truly did. But once the damage is there, you're managing it, not erasing it. She passed at 83. Complications, they called it. Such a clean word for something so messy. After she died, I poured every bottle of soda down the sink. I couldn't look at it without thinking of hospital monitors. The third food I avoid is white bread and refined flour, the soft, fluffy kind that sticks to the roof of your mouth. It filled us up but gave nothing back. We ate it because it was cheap and easy. Sandwiches every day. Toast at night. I switched to whole grains in my late 60s. It wasn't exciting. No one applauded. But my doctor noticed. My blood sugar steadied. My weight stayed predictable. At 95, predictability is a gift. The fourth food is fried food. Deep fried chicken, onion rings, donuts. I still remember the sound of oil popping in a cast iron pan. My mother used to fry everything. It was how she showed love. Letting go of fried food felt like letting go of her, in a strange way. I held on to it longer than I should have, but I watched my older brother struggle after his stroke, half his body unwilling to cooperate. He used to shrug off the doctor's warnings. "I'd rather eat good and die happy," he'd say. He didn't die quickly. That's what people don't understand. It wasn't one dramatic moment. It was 10 years of slow decline, needing help to button a shirt, to walk to the bathroom, to swallow safely. I visited him every week. I fed him with a small spoon near the end. And I thought about all the fried meals we'd shared. It's not that those foods are evil. It's that they add up. That's the part no one sees when they're young. The adding up. You don't feel your arteries narrowing. You don't feel your pancreas getting tired. You don't feel the inflammation inching through you like rust. You feel fine. Until you don't. By the time I turned 75, my circle had shrunk. Funerals outnumbered weddings. I started cooking for one. That changes a man. You don't fry chicken for one person. You don't bake a pie just for yourself. I ate simply. Oatmeal in the morning, vegetables and beans, fish a few times a week, nuts, fruit, nothing fancy. I wasn't chasing longevity. I was just trying not to make things worse. There's a difference. The slow cost of my earlier years still shows up. My knees ache from decades of labor. My hearing isn't what it was. I can't blame food for everything. Time has its own appetite, but my heart kept beating. My mind stayed mostly clear. I've outlived my doctor twice. Sometimes that doesn't feel like a victory. When you reach 95, you start to see the other side of long life. It's not just about avoiding certain foods. It's about sitting at a kitchen table alone. It's about knowing every story you tell has been told before, because there's no one new to tell it to. I avoided processed meat. I avoided sugary drinks. I avoided white bread. I avoided fried food. What I didn't avoid was working too much. In my 40s and 50s, I said yes to every extra shift. I told myself I was providing. I missed school plays. I came home after my children were asleep. I thought there would be more Saturdays. There weren't. My son lives 3 states away now. My daughter calls on Sundays. They are good people. I'm proud of them. But there's a distance that formed quietly, the way plaque forms. Not dramatic, just gradual. You can't diet your way out of that. The turning point for me wasn't a diagnosis. It was Margaret's funeral. Standing beside that casket, realizing I had outlived the one person who knew me before I had gray hair. I had taken care of my body better in later years, but I hadn't always taken care of time. After she was gone, food became less about pleasure and more about stewardship. I wanted my body to last as long as my mind did. I didn't want to become a burden through neglect. At 95, I still live in my own small house. I make my own breakfast. I walk slowly to the mailbox. That independence didn't happen by accident. It happened by subtraction, by saying no every day to those 4 foods. Even when the smell drifted from a neighbor's yard, even when a waiter looked surprised that I ordered grilled instead of fried. Small refusals, over and over. But here's the part I don't say often. Living this long means watching the world empty out. My parents, my siblings, my friends, my wife, all gone. Sometimes I sit in my armchair at dusk and feel like a bookmark left in a book everyone else has finished reading. Longevity is not the same as fullness. If I could go back, would I still avoid those foods? Yes, I would. They gave me years, clear mornings, steady hands, but I would also sit on the floor more with my children. I would take Margaret dancing more often instead of saying I was tired. I would leave work an hour early sometimes, even if it meant less money, because health is a tool, time is the gift. You can protect your heart from grease and sugar, but you also have to use that heart while it's strong. I don't regret taking care of my body. I regret assuming there would always be another season to take care of everything else. Now, when I make my oatmeal, I think about Eddie. When I slice an apple instead of reaching for pie, I think about Margaret. When I pass by the deli counter without stopping, I think about my brother. They are with me in those choices. At 95, appetite is smaller. So is my world. But it's still mine. If you're younger and listening to this old man ramble, I won't tell you what to eat. You'll decide that on your own. We all think we're exceptions until we're not. I'll just say this. The body keeps score quietly, and time moves even more quietly than that. Take care of what you put inside you, not because you're afraid of dying, but because really living requires a body that can carry you there. And don't wait to sit at the table with the people you love. Don't wait to take the long walk. Don't wait to say the thing that feels awkward. I avoided 4 foods every day. I wish I had avoided postponing my life. Now I eat simply. I move slowly. I speak less. Some evenings I sit by the window as the light fades. I feel grateful for the extra years. I feel the weight of them too. 95 is a long road, and it's very quiet at the end.